Hamilton is a really diverse city. Like over 140,000 people here are not English, according to the 2011 census. Of the 658,000 people in Hamilton, just over 1/5 of everyone here was born or their parents were born outside of Canada or the British Isles.
I'm Serbian. I'm Canadian Serbian. I speak English and unfortunately don't really know the Serbian language.
In Hamilton alone, there are over 11,000 Serbs living here. We got 2 churches and culture centers and a whole bunch of Serbian restaurants and stores. There are Serbian soccer teams, basketball teams, and folklore dance groups, which I'm a part of.
So I know about our community we have now, but how did it come to be? Why did we choose Hamilton? Why even Canada? So I'm going to take you through a trip through history. Let's go.
Serbia is, contrary to popular belief, not located in Russia. You're thinking of Siberia. It's actually located almost on the opposite side of the globe in Southeast Europe. In 1918, after the events of World War I, Serbia and the neighboring countries of Croatia, Slovenia, Macedonia, and Bosnia formed the country Yugoslavia. During World War II, the Communist Party of Yugoslavia, the Partizan, fought against the German and Italian Axis forces which had occupied the country. They were able to push the Axis out of Yugoslavia, as well as the former monarchy and royalist forces, taking control of the country under the leadership of Josip Broz Tito. The country remained communist well after Broz's death in 1980, falling apart around the same time as Russian communism fell in 1990. After the fall of communism, the republics of Slovenia and Croatia voted to become independent from Yugoslavia, which began the Yugoslav Wars in 1991. The war lasted for 10 years, resulting in the separation of Macedonia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the remnants of Yugoslavia being renamed Serbia and Montenegro. Montenegro separated in 2006, while the conflicted province of Kosovo separated in 2008.
Now, I could go more in depth into the cultural differences between the former Yugoslavian countries and even the war itself, but that's not the point of this. I just wanted you to understand the general history that has happened recently in Serbia.
So now that you know about what generally happened, let me introduce you to some people who lived through these events.
Hey, Mama.
Which skin do you go now, John? Taking glasses?
No, it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Sofia Despinic is an 82-year-old woman who lives alone in a small house in East Hamilton. She was a part of some of the first Serbs to come to Hamilton. She's also my grandmother.
My parents had 9 kids. I'm younger one.
Yeah.
And all of us, we stick together. All of us worked.
Sofia and her family were supporters of the royalist movement, called the Chetniks. Her family were not treated fairly for supporting the communists' enemy.
The communism was, really, really bad for us because they didn't like it, Chetniks, and they said Chetniks is really going. That's why Chetniks, they skipped, because if they didn't go to the far away, they will be going killed. We didn't have some to clothes, we didn't have some to eat when it was, Chetniks left. So when we going to have something to wear and something to get food and something, they didn't let us. We stay in at 4 o'clock in the morning to get in a line to get something clothes or something to eat. They didn't let us. They let just who was communist, but us was Chetnik's family. That took maybe more than 7-8 years, close 10 years, and we was really upset. We didn't have how we say the all the time was scary and what will be next? What will we do?
Her brother, Mirko and Nikola Milunovic, were Chetnik fighters protecting Yugoslavia from the Axis and then the communists. When the communists took control of Yugoslavia, the Chetniks and the former Serbian royalty were exiled from their homeland.
Mirko, he was in a war, of course, and the first while they escaped to the Slovenia, and from Slovenia they kicked to the Italy. And from Italy they went to the Germany, and from Germany they went to the England, and from England he came to Canada.
She left her home and moved to a refugee camp in Knin, where the living conditions were less than stellar. Afterwards, she traveled back to Bosnia, where she lived with her sister Milica. In 1957, her exiled brother living in Hamilton, Mirko, vouched for her citizenship into Canada. She began her journey starting in Bosnia and traveled to Switzerland and then France. She then took a boat from France to Montreal.
Both was really, I was so sick. My brother paid for the really good food, but was problem, I wasn't able to eat. And when they bring, the meat and everything was canned, I just feel like I said myself, if I have a coffee which my mother making, Turkish coffee, I'll be happy, but wasn't able to eat.
After a train ride from Montreal to Hamilton, she lived with her brother and met one of her brother's friends, and her soon-to-be husband.
I came on 12th December at my brother in Hamilton, in a boat, and it was when I traveled the train, everybody put some ticket for where you're going out from the Montreal to Hamilton. And I didn't have nothing, nothing for me. I was scared. Where I going? What I going to do? And of course, took me not too long. That was December, and in March, I saw my husband. That time I was a friend. Yeah. I saw him in a church, and he was so looking beautiful. Like I had a suit from England, like a shiny, like a shirt was white, and shoes matching everything, suit and everything. And I said to my brother and my sister-in-law, and was 4 children in the church with me too. And I said, I like that guy. He's really nice. After 2-3 days, he came to my brother and start talking about wedding. And of course, we made it wedding at 9 August. After 2 years, we was married. Of course, my husband working. I didn't work because it wasn't that time easy to find some job. I was like kind of dressmaker, but I didn't speak English. I didn't know a word. And I was really happy with Canada. I was so happy, and I really loved it. And still now, I love it so much, because it's a better place in Canada, anywhere, from anywhere. It's everything have really good life, And all my life, I'm so happy. Thanks to God, thanks to Canada, thanks for everybody.
Communism took over Yugoslavia. As Sofia told us, it was good for those who were communists, but not so great for non-communists. Canada and other countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia became destinations for people looking to escape communism. My dad, Vladimir Sobot, or Vladimir Sobot, if you will, was born in Yugoslavia and lived in the small town of Drvar. This is his story.
I was born in what was then called Yugoslavia in 1956, and I spent my first 14 years in Yugoslavia. I was born in province of, or Republic of Bosnia. Matter of fact, it was one of the greatest childhoods, I think, that a kid could have. We spent a lot of time basically going to school and playing, mostly playing soccer and basketball, things like that. We lived in a small town where we spent a lot of time going fishing in rivers. We lived close to 2 rivers. So we lived in a situation where we had mountains around the town, and in the winter we had a lot of snow. So we learned how to ski when we were really small. My dad was a tool and die maker, and he was one of the first people to leave Yugoslavia for the Western world. He went to West Germany to work as a guest worker, as a tool and die maker, and he and his first cousin were the first 2 people to leave our town to go work out in the West. When he came back, he wanted to stay and build a bigger house and keep his family there. However, he found it to be very difficult to work and to earn his potential. because he was not in the Communist Party, and to get ahead, you had to be in the Communist Party. He had the opportunity to go to 3 different places. One was Milwaukee in Wisconsin, second one was Akron, Ohio, and the third place was Hamilton, Ontario. And my mom had a sister that lived in Hamilton, Ontario, and that's how we chose Hamilton. Yeah. We felt, as my dad told me later, that Canada was a better country, that it was a fairer country to move to than the United States. In those days, this was 1971, we flew to Canada. Of course, it was my first time on the plane, and we flew from Yugoslavia, from a place called Zagreb, to Germany. From Germany, we had to go to Ireland. From Ireland, we ended up in Montreal. From Montreal, we flew to Toronto. It was a very, very long and arduous trip for us kids that we had not ever been on the plane before. I had just finished grade 8 in Yugoslavia and came here in May. Then immediately after that, we started going to school. Remember that I spoke 0 English, and so when I came to Canada, because of the lack of the language, although I had finished grade 8, the school system put me back into grade 5. So now I was with some of these kids that were about half my size, and they start picking on me because I seemed strange to them because I didn't speak the language, and also I was a pretty tough kid, so it ended up that I probably had to fight almost every day. When you're 14, teenager, at that point you develop a lot of friends and all of that. When we came to Canada, I basically was very isolated. I had 0 friends, didn't know anybody here. My cousins, my brother were much younger than me, 3, 4 years, 5 years younger than me, so I had different interests than they did. And I loved sports and I wanted to play soccer, but 1971 soccer was something that was totally foreign and non-existent in Hamilton, or very, very difficult to find. We lived in West Hamilton, which is very traditionally Anglo-Saxon. There were no immigrants in that part of the city, so we really stuck out. There were a couple of first jobs that summer that first summer that we were in Canada. There were 2 of our favorite jobs. One was going picking cherries. So we'd get on the bus, get down to the center mall. We'd go there, and then the farmers would come in and pick all the immigrants to take them to the farm to pick cherries. So we'd go there, and of course my parents were doing that because they didn't have jobs at that time. They'd be picking cherries all day long, and they thought, well, okay kids, you come and pick cherries as well. But the first few days we'd just eat cherries and we'd get sick. So we really never ended up picking too many cherries. Well, the other thing is at night, we also went and picked worms. We would go, because we lived close to Shed Oak golf course. At dusk, we'd go out to the golf course, and of course with those lights, like the miners' lights, we'd put those on our heads, and we'd be picking worms at night until the cops start chasing us. So as we see the cop cars coming, we'd go hide in ditches and stuff until they went away. Then we'd go picking worms. And then we'd get these bags of worms and take them to the people that bought them. My brother and I, and of course my parents as well, we went to English school. My brother and I ended up probably spending 12 hours a day learning English every day, all summer long, so that we would catch up and we would be able to attend high school. We were fortunate enough that by the time September came around, with help of some friends that worked at the Board of Education, we were able to be put into the grades that we deserved to be. Well, I started going to Westdale. In 1971, Westdale was was really, really purely Canadian, and they had no experience with immigrants. As a matter of fact, even my teacher asked me, well, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Serbia. And she said, what's that? Siberia. That was a teacher. She had no idea what Serbia was or Yugoslavia or anything like that. It was a very, very tough experience for me. I had tough time with the language. Fortunately, my parents decided to move from, we got our own apartment. My dad started working, my mom started working, and we got our own apartment closer to the center of Hamilton on West Avenue. Halfway through grade 9, I transferred to Scott Park. And to me, that was a fortunate thing because Scott Park had a lot of immigrants. The high school had a English as a second language. That really helped me a great deal because we now had a more of a bunch of kids that were in the same in the same situation as I was. Canadians have a great country, and Canada is a great country. What I find a lot is that Canadians that have never been anywhere, they take the good life, fairly easy life for granted. I've traveled in lots of different countries and know, first of all, from my first experience, knowing how difficult it is to integrate into another society. Whether discriminated or not, and I can't say that I was discriminated, I'm sure other immigrants have had much tougher time than I have. However, any move like this is pretty traumatic, especially on teenager kids that are in the middle of their development.
Our last visit is not a member of my family, but of our church. Very Reverend Juro Samats is one of the 2 priests at St. Nicholas Orthodox Cathedral on Nash Road in Hamilton. He moved to Canada around the turn of century during the Civil War. But unlike my dad and my grandma, he had a family to take care of.
The war has changed many things for me and for my family. As soon as the war started, you have to think how to save your life, the life of your loved ones, of your family. So military actions, airstrikes, made me to leave my home and to become a refugee and to settle for a short time. I didn't know it would be a short time. I was hoping for a little bit longer, but for a short time I lived in Belgrade until 1999, and then I had to run again. The immigration process was already in place at that time, and a year later, in 2000, I came to Canada. I was hoping that the whole process will be faster or will be way smoother. However, because of constant political disturbances and military activities, I was not able to stay in any area long enough or enough for that I can continue my life in a certain way, in a decent manners. Even the Canadian embassy in Belgrade was evacuated in 1999. So the whole process was delayed over and over again. There is a whole process in a place. Everything has been arranged, but some degree of fear, because I did not know where we are coming, what are the things that I should be prepared for. I was the only one that could speak English. The things that you do not know how some things works in Canada. For instance, when you go to a doctor, what do you do? What is the process? What's the procedure? How do I register myself for a doctor? How do I have the things worked out? The other thing is, if you go to buy something, how do you decide what's the best for you and for your family? The language was some sort of obstacle as well, because wherever you go, with your family, you have to act as interpreter to translate for not one day or 1 month, for many years before the rest of family learned language. We had nobody here in Canada to help us and stay with children who were 2 months, 3 years, and 7 years old. So if we go somewhere, we have to go all together, 5 of us. We never had a chance to leave 1 or 2 or all of them with someone to be looked after, and that we can do some things faster. This lack of information, lack of knowledge was always a reason for a fear. What if I do something and that's not right? What if I do something and that's wrong and it's maybe not right or not the best option that you were supposed to do? Those were the things in the beginning that were kind of scary. A huge responsibility on my shoulders, on the shoulders of my wife. We came with 3 little kids here, and we did not know what is ahead of us, what we could expect next year, what will happen in years to come, whether we will adjust and find ourselves in this society and like it, or we were afraid that maybe at the end we will realize that's not for us. We just cannot adjust to this way of life. Luckily, it's now 15 years that we are in Canada, and we are Canadians. We have Canadian citizenship, so we realized that this was the right step. But of course, the beginning was hard, was tough. Once you realize that you are free, that you can do it the way you feel it's right and it's good, then you simply go in and explore. You pursue your dream. I believe that the other thing is there are a lot of organizations that really helps the new immigrants. I think it's important that there are schools which provide lessons or teaching or schooling for newcomers for the English as a second language. The other important thing is there are so many organizations that offer you a different kind of help, to write you a resume, to translate your documents so that you can prove your education back home. At the same time, you have opportunity to study if you want, to improve your knowledge. I truly feel that I belong to this country, and I respect and I love all the values of this country, society. They gave me opportunity to live a different kind of life. At the same time, I think that the fact that I was treated equally as any other Canadian born in this country, having same opportunities as the born Canadians, and having opportunity to work and being treated equally like everybody else. That's how I feel, to realize that there is no any difference, helped me to pursue my dreams, to succeed, to have my home, to have my children going for a decent education, and so that they can live their life and live the life they want to live, free, without being told that they have to do something that they may not like. You know what, it is hard, but I think you do not know what is waiting for you here in Canada. So you're coming from a totally different society, from the tradition, the culture, the life you lived all your life. I came when I was 34 years old, and I came here with education and knowledge that helped me live my life over there. So when I came here to Canada, all of a sudden I'm facing something totally new to me. Try to put yourself in the shoes that somebody takes you from Canada and puts you in a different country where English is not official language, whatever international language. And you have to try to organize your life. And you are not by yourself. You have wife and 3 kids, so there are 5 of you that you have to look after and make sure that they are provided every day, that they have bed, which you didn't bring from Canada, that they have food, which you have to buy over there and you have no idea where. And when you go to a store, you have like 10 different types of milk. So how do you know which one is the best for your child? And all of them are good on a certain way, but you really would like to buy the best that would help your child or make your child happy, healthy, whatever. And you do not know how to find out. And you do not know what you are supposed to look on those particular products to make sure that this is the right thing. It just takes a time to open up, to realize that this is all good for you. You have options, you have opportunities to decide which is good, which is bad, what will make you and your family more successful, more happier as individuals. Now, looking back, I can see why this fear was there. But at the same time, those who are coming after me probably are facing the same issue, the same obstacles, same challenges. Maybe people coming from countries that are way more developed, countries that didn't face war issues, didn't have any political turbulences and stuff like that. They probably feel that they are way better back home in their old country and they like it this way. And I brought my entire family here and we are here now and I like it.
I guess that's it. I could go more in depth into the different generations in between or the generation afterwards that have come here because of the economic state of Serbia itself. But that's a whole different story, and I'll save that for later. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate you spending this time with me.
Yeah, you